Welcome to Hardly. Each book is distilled into 3 stories, giving you the key ideas in minutes. Today, we listen to Kyle Ferrana's Why the World Needs China: Development, Environmentalism, Conflict Resolution and Common Prosperity, in which we probe into China's shift from colonial victim to leader in global conflict resolution, the role of environmentalism in shaping China's future as a global power, common prosperity as a response to inequality, a model for global development. Kyle Ferrana is a writer, software engineer, and tenant organizer. Don't go away, Hurdley the editor will be right back with the story. Let's take a journey through 3 powerful stories that illustrate China's rise to global prominence by addressing conflict, environmental challenges, and economic disparity. Each story offers a glimpse into real-life transformations that resonate deeply with both China's past and its vision for the future. The first story begins in Africa, where a small country caught in the middle of civil war found an unexpected ally. China, once a victim of colonial exploitation, now steps into the role of mediator. The conflict between rebel groups and the central government had lasted for years, with no end in sight. Western powers, while claiming to bring peace, only seemed to exacerbate tensions through military interventions and economic sanctions. It was during this time that Chinese diplomats with no colonial baggage entered the scene. Using China's unique non-interference policy, they sought to mediate without imposing solutions from outside. Rather than trying to dictate terms, they listened and facilitated dialogue between the 2 sides, proposing economic cooperation as a foundation for lasting peace. "We must be a bridge, not a judge," one diplomat famously remarked. China's approach was not just about words, but action. They helped rebuild infrastructure that had been destroyed by years of conflict, such as roads and schools. This practical investment in the community created trust and gave both parties a tangible reason to work towards peace. What China did differently was that it offered a model of conflict resolution that focused not on military might, but on economic stability and development as the true pathways to peace. The message was clear. If you want peace, you must first build something worth preserving. This story is a reminder that China's role in global conflict resolution is growing, and that its strategy of economic integration, rather than isolation, is proving effective. The success in Africa sets the stage for China's next challenge, the fight for environmental sustainability. As China's role in conflict resolution solidified, it turned its attention toward an equally daunting battle: climate change. The next story takes us to China's own cities, where smog-choked skies had become a symbol of rapid but unchecked industrial growth. A decade ago, Beijing's air pollution was so severe that schools were closed, and hospitals were flooded with patients suffering from respiratory diseases. The world watched, expecting China to continue on a destructive path. But China had other plans. They recognized that economic growth could not come at the expense of the environment forever. What followed was one of the most ambitious shifts in environmental policy the world had ever seen. The transformation began with a nationwide crackdown on coal and heavy industry. Entire factories were shut down, and a new wave of clean energy projects took their place. Solar farms the size of cities sprang up in once barren regions, and wind turbines began to dot the landscape. In 2021 alone, China built more electric vehicles than any other country in the world. "We cannot be passive in the face of climate change," a government official stated. This sentiment was more than rhetoric. It became the driving force behind China's green revolution. By committing to renewable energy and green technologies, China is showing that it's possible to grow economically while drastically reducing environmental harm. This shift serves as an example to other developing nations that they don't need to follow the same polluting path the West once took. In tackling environmental challenges head-on, China is paving the way for a more sustainable future. And yet, even as they address the global climate crisis, China remains acutely aware of a crucial issue at home: inequality. While the skies were clearing, another challenge emerged. China's rapid economic growth had created a chasm between the wealthy urban elites and the struggling rural poor. The third story takes us to the rural provinces, where decades of industrialization had left many behind. Here, the concept of common prosperity was born, a national campaign to redistribute wealth and close the gap between the rich and poor. In one rural village, residents who once lived without access to proper healthcare or education saw their fortunes change as the government rolled out new policies aimed at elevating their standard of living. New schools were built, and doctors were sent to the most remote areas, ensuring that healthcare was no longer a privilege of the wealthy. Farmers, long burdened by debt, were given subsidies and access to new markets. "The village feels like it has been reborn," a resident proudly remarked. This wasn't just about providing temporary relief, but about building long-term prosperity for the entire population. China realized that true stability and progress could only come from a society where no one was left behind. The Common Prosperity Initiative isn't just a domestic policy. It's a model that could be adapted by other nations grappling with similar issues of inequality. It challenges the idea that rapid economic growth must inherently create winners and losers. Instead, it promotes the idea that a nation's prosperity should be shared, lifting everyone up, not just a select few. This focus on common prosperity bridges the gap between urban and rural, rich and poor, showcasing that equity is as crucial to national success as innovation and industry. Each of these stories is connected by China's fundamental understanding that to lead globally, it must first solve its own problems at home while offering alternative pathways for the world to follow. From mediating international conflicts to combating climate change and addressing inequality, China's approach is evolving but consistent. The lessons learned in each arena, peace building, sustainability, and prosperity, are not isolated incidents, but threads of a larger tapestry that aims to redefine China's role in the 21st century. As the editor of Hardly, we can see that through these stories, a future built on cooperation, sustainability, and shared prosperity is not only possible, but necessary. Each story comes from the most representative real-life cases selected by the Hardly team from this book. Beyond these three, there are more than 20 other stories worth reading within its pages. If you wish to dive deeper, we recommend purchasing the full book. As we conclude, let's revisit the key points that define China's global role. Through conflict resolution, environmental leadership, and a commitment to shared prosperity, China is reshaping the world order. One more story captures this transformation vividly. In Latin America, a region long dominated by Western influence, China quietly but decisively emerged as a key partner. A small nation, suffering from both external debt and political instability, found an alternative to traditional Western loans in China's Belt and Road Initiative. China offered infrastructure investments without the strings of austerity or political conditions. New roads and ports boosted the local economy, and China's model of mutual development allowed the country to regain its footing. "We needed a partner, not a master," said a local leader, reflecting the sentiment that China's approach was fundamentally different. By investing in the country's future rather than extracting immediate profit, China earned a lasting partnership. This case further exemplifies China's strategy of fostering long-term alliances based on mutual growth rather than dominance. These stories collectively reinforce the idea that China is offering an alternative path in international relations, one that prioritizes conflict resolution through cooperation, environmental sustainability, and a redistribution of wealth to ensure that no one is left behind. Each narrative reminds us that China's vision is not just about its own rise, but about a broader, more equitable global future. These examples provide a glimpse into a world where cooperation trumps coercion. As we move forward, understanding these dynamics will be key to navigating the future global landscape.